An unusual chill in the Central Texas air this morning as Big 12 play reaches the halfway point. We welcome you to ESPN College Football, presented by Vizio. Here at McLean Stadium in Texas, it's the Texas Longhorns and the Baylor Bears. 3-4 for Texas, 0-7 for Baylor. Mike Cousins, John Congemi, glad to have you with us, watching teams that have come close in many games but have not been able to finish as much as they'd like, and we'll start with the Longhorns.
Well, it's been a lot of heartbreak for both teams, and you mentioned Texas, the double overtime loss in the beginning of the year at USC, and then last week an interception in overtime to lose to Oklahoma State, and holding the Cowboys offense, that potent offense, to only 13 points. They had a chance to win both of those games but needed to finish. They're looking to finish today.
And you mentioned holding teams close. While the offense hasn't always gotten it done, the defense has been spectacular.
And they're led by safety Deshaun Elliott and cornerback Holton Hill. Both have combined to snag 7 of the 9 team interceptions. Now Elliott leads the team with 5 interceptions. Both of Hill's interceptions have been returned for touchdowns. So these guys love to run, they love to hit, and should continue to find the football for this Texas defense.
Matt Rule's team today looking for just its second win in the last calendar year. They are 0-7. They've been right there.
They're looking for explosive plays, and look no further than outside with Baylor wide receiver Denzel Mims. He's a guy that needs to touch the football. He's one of the top receivers not only in the Big 12 Conference, but in the country. He can change a game with those explosive plays of 40, plus 50, plus 60, 7 touchdowns also. So he's the playmaker for that Baylor offense.
A lot of folks in the stands here today on the north bank of the Brazos River here in Waco who did not expect to be wearing sweatshirts and caps and gloves this morning. 46 degrees. It was in the mid-30s when we got to the stadium earlier today. We're hoping here, as we haven't yet reached November in Texas, it gets a little warmer as the day goes on.
It should. It was chilly pregame when I was down on the field, but now it looks like that Texas sun is beating right down on the stadium, and it should be a great afternoon for college football.
Longhorns winners of the toss, they defer, and Baylor starts on offense, 1st and 10 from their own 25. So the Bears had their last win in their bowl game last year. They are 0-7 and 0-4 in Big 12 play. But this is not a team where when you talk to the coaching staff, you hear what's going on in the program, that feels like it's winning.
Well, they believe in themselves. Head coach Matt Rule, he's a strong-minded guy. And I know the offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, they feel like they have athletes on offense, on defense, on special teams that can get the job done. So you're looking at a guy in Coach Rule that instills that belief, that confidence in their offense, and it starts with Zach Smith at quarterback.
10th career start today for the sophomore from Grandview, Texas, who's back to pass on first down. Out across the 30-yard line, there's the first catch of the day for Mims.
Have to get it to your playmakers on the outside. Zach Smith at quarterback. Yeah, they're going to take that catch away. It will look like a catch initially. Back to the 25-yard line for 2nd and 10. But Smith is a guy, 6 straight starts. He came out of the game last week with the stomach flu. He came into the game not feeling 100%, but he's got a pro-style arm, can make all the throws around the field. He made this one from the short hash to the short sideline. Looked like the ball was juggled as he dragged that right foot. That's what the officials saw on the field.
The clock was started inadvertently. The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. 2nd down.
So the bobble along the sideline, no control there as he went out of bounds. Just makes it 2nd down and 10. And on the ground here on 2nd down, it's Terrence Williams, the junior from Ennis, Texas, who got the start last week against West Virginia.
Well, 3rd down has not been the Baylor offense's friend. They need to find a way to stay on the field with this first series. Just below 30% on 3rd down, and Texas doing a pretty good job of getting off the field at 27%. So this matchup favors the Texas defense.
Nicholson from the backfield, spread out wide against a 4-man rush. The throw is tipped, and it's picked off. Taken away by Deshaun Elliott. He's headed back the other way with space along the sideline, and Elliott is in for a Texas touchdown.
Mike, we talked about the two playmakers on defense right at the start of the broadcast. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, he's going to benefit from the tip ball in the middle of the field. He reacts quickly to it, takes it the other way. That's his 6th interception on the season. Gets a good block by a couple of his teammates, and Texas starts out with a defensive score.
Malik Jefferson, linebacker, leading the way there. And the extra point. Good start for the Texas defense, which has been the strength of this team so far this year. Tip ball, take it back the other way. Elliott with his 2nd touchdown of the year. So this now raises the question. We saw Charlie Brewer last week for Baylor, who helped start that 4th quarter comeback against West Virginia. And Zach Smith got the vote of confidence on Monday from Matt Rule to say, hey, this is the starter, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's locked into that job for 4 quarters.
Well, it doesn't mean he's going to finish, but I would think Zach Smith deserves to get back out on the football field. He's got plenty of game ahead of him. He's a sophomore with starting experience. I think you stick with him. I think you go back out, you let him play the game, get into the flow of the game, and see how they do through the first half, and then possibly Charlie Brewer is an option at that point.
Here comes White from a few yards deep in the end zone. Out to the 15 and then sent end over end backwards as Baylor gets into its 2nd drive. They were down big last week against West Virginia, but they got on the comeback trail mostly thanks to Treston Ebner.
That's right. 2 big plays out of your running back. He was able to really make explosive plays, not only on the ground but through the air, catching the football. And you talked about potentially getting Charlie Brewer in the game early. He led him in the 4th quarter. He's coming in right away. So I thought that head coach Matt Rule would stick with Zach Smith, but Brewer in the game early after that turnover.
Brewer, the freshman from Austin, Texas. More of a runner than he is a passer, and here he is, pinned deep in his own territory to get things rolling on drive number 2, and a swarming Texas defense surrounds the running back Ebner, another freshman.
And that's the connection that really had the explosive plays in that 4th quarter. You got Charlie Brewer getting rid of the football on target and on time in his first attempt, trying to stretch this Texas defense sideline to sideline.
On the rollout, pressured from behind. Looking for somewhere to go with it. And as he does quite often, uses his legs to extend the play.
Took a negative play there on 2nd down and turned it into a positive because he's athletic enough to get the perimeter. Good speed by the freshman quarterback. This might be quarterback run. You spread out by formation.
Looking to throw all the way. He's got a completion across the middle for a 1st down and then some to the sophomore Tony Nicholson.
Good timing in the pass offense. Nicholson just a quick slant, and right on target is Charlie Brewer early in this football game. It's tough to come off the bench when you're waiting a long time, but after that first play, you're kind of excited with the beginning of the game, and you could tell in the play of Charlie Brewer on target twice.
Picked up 22 yards to get the 1st down out to the 45-yard line. A sweeping handoff is cut down. Scary. And there's a flag at the end of the play. P.J. Locke getting into the backfield.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense, number 2, a blow to the head, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down, and this First unspoken no foul.
It's on the cornerback, Chris Boyd.
And it didn't take long for Chris Boyd to make a mistake, and head coach Tom Herman finds him on the sidelines next to him.
Another flag.
Ball start. Offense, number 18. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Well, I'll tell you, nobody on the Baylor sideline is going to be happy about that. But Brecken Hager also was pretty disappointed, the defensive end who had broken through into the backfield right as the
Could have been a big play for
was
Texas.
blown.
That's right.
So 1st and 15. The Longhorns show pressure. Brewer bought time, and the ball swatted away by a swooping Holton Hill.
We've already seen safety Deshaun Elliott make a play on the football that turns into points. Now Holton Hill, the junior corner, just terrific job of staying in position to break on the football. Took a long time to get to the backside for Charlie Brewer to find his third receiver, but Holton Hill was patient, played the football perfectly, and anticipated the throw.
Quick pass on 2nd and 15. Mims makes the catch and goes forward to the 45-yard line. He's a very dangerous receiver when he has open space. It looks like he's gliding down the field sometimes.
He's gliding, but he's picking up 4 or 5 yards a stride, it seems like. He moves with efficiency, and that's a good open field tackle by Holton Hill. He's a long corner at 6'3", 200 pounds, so he's able to handle the physical business outside the hash and outside the numbers. This is a guy that can go 50, 60, 70 yards in a heartbeat, but that's just a good open field tackle by Hill.
He had to lock down James Washington last week and did very well. Pressure again. Brewer backpedals and goes down at the 39-yard line.
Looked like Bonnie comes in from the short side, the safety. Nobody picks him up. He's going to come from Brewer's back, never sees him. At the last minute, he tries to pirouette out of the sack, but that's just a good defensive call by coordinator Todd Orlando. Pressure in the pocket against an elusive quarterback. 2 against 1 back in the backfield. Texas wins on 3rd down.
Fair catch called for off the punt by Martin. 7-0 Texas, 10th interception. Most of the Big 12 for the Longhorns, and they go on offense when we come back. Texas up 7-0 on the strength of its defense, and now the offense takes the field with Shane Buechele getting his 3rd start of the season, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas. His counterpart in the backfield, Sam Ehlinger, did not clear concussion protocol this week, did not make the short trip from Austin here to Waco along with the rest of his teammates. First pass, Amani Foreman, the senior for Texas, makes the catch from Buechele.
Buechele doing a good job in his time out there. You mentioned Ehlinger not being able to come out of concussion protocol. Ehlinger more of the runner, Buechele more accurate down the field, but we're going to see him potentially run here on second down.
And a nice slide at the end of the play as well.
Taken after his dad with the baseball slide. I just like the way Buechele delivers the football. You can tell right away he's going to be an accurate thrower down the field. He's going to open up more windows in the passing game, and it's always a quarterback. It's a luxury when you come on the field and you're already up a touchdown.
Quick motion and a look short. Sends a pass down the sideline for Dorian Leonard.
That's a perfect example of opening up windows down the field. That's just a simple flick of the football outside for a confident guy in his ability to deliver the football on time. Good footwork after the play action, and that's just an easy one for Shane to deliver from the pocket.
And now he goes out wide to Neal Carter Takes the snap and gets gobbled up back behind midfield. Brian Nance, the defensive end from Euless, coming through.
This Baylor defense needs to make and create negative plays against Texas and their offense. They need to win up front.
The Bears showing some early pressure after the loss, makes it 2nd down and 15. The line holds up, but can only hold for so long. Clay Johnston, the middle linebacker, one of the first of many coming through the offensive line.
Well, there's 2 negative plays in a row by the Bears on defense. Initially, it was a good pass protection by Chris Warren, the running back. He's going to come up and take on one of the linebackers, but you can only take him on for so long. And now there's 2, 3, 4 jerseys in the backfield of the same color. Another negative play that pushes Texas back to 3rd and 19.
Buechele is flushed, a sidearm throw to the 45-yard line, and not much more for his running back, Chris Warren.
Well, that'll get the Baylor Bears excited on their sideline. Good defensive stand after a couple of big Texas offensive plays. And the problem for Texas today is how is that offensive line going to hold up? They've been depleted with injuries from the beginning of the season. How can they hold up? Shackelford's not in that center. Cuny's in for there, but you've got a weapon in Michael Dixon.
Best punting average in FBS, averaged 51 yards a kick last week. And he continues to work his magic, getting that ball inside the 10-yard line. Texas up by a score over Baylor.
ESPN College Football is presented by Vizio, maker of award-winning 4K displays, and in part by Old Spice.
Well, what else to say when you run out on the field except,
I guess that's it. That's a lot of folks on the field before the game.
That was a special ceremonial running of the Baylor line of female students who were here in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s before the first-year student organization became co-ed in 1994. So a special day for a lot of former Baylor students today. Texas up 7-0, a pick six taken back by Deshaun Elliott. And this is drive number 3 of the day for Baylor. John Lovett, the freshman from New Jersey, with the carry on first down, and a troublesome trend, at least to start for Baylor, as on each of their first 3 drives, they've started with worse field position, going from the 25 to the 15, and now starting at the 9.
It puts great importance on getting this very first down of this drive, and you may have procedure against Baylor to back them up.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's left tackle Mo Porter.
I'm not so sure Mo wasn't by himself. Xavier Newman, the left guard, also moved. So you have to be disciplined, especially backed up inside your 10-yard line. Get that initial first down and run your offense from there.
So here goes Brewer with a quick throw to the outside. And it's Nicholson who's got another grab to gain back a good chunk of that penalty yardage.
And a really good decision by Nicholson to get north and south and try to split the Texas defenders. There's 2 defenders coming in, and he's able to get back some of that yards, most of those penalty yards, and then some for a 3rd and short.
They'll look to run it here to try and get the first down. No, sir. Malik Jefferson coming up for the stick on the freshman. Love it.
Well, that's a good tackle by Jefferson, who's had a career-high 14 total tackles last week against Oklahoma State. I'm not so sure if the young quarterback should have checked out and went to the right side. It seemed they ran right where the bubble was, right where all the Texas defenders were lined up. And Malik Jefferson just squares up in that hole, and a negative play on third down for this Texas defense.
Connor Martin to punt. Reggie Hemphill maps, backpedaling and gets a fair catch at the 32-yard line. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC or ESPN2. Be sure to check your local listings,
I
John.
will.
Georgia Tech and number 7 Clemson, and Texas Tech against 10th-ranked Oklahoma. If you don't check your local listings, you can always go on your ESPN app, or you can find both.
I'll be traveling. I'll be on the app and see how Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers respond after that loss to Syracuse.
They had a week off to digest after that Friday night defeat. It's Daniel Young, the freshman from Houston, with just his 5th carry of the year for the Longhorns. Hasn't touched the ball out of the backfield since the San Jose State game back at the beginning of September. So they go the direct snap route once again. It's Carter for the second time today, out across the 35-yard line. So at quarterback today, Shane Buechele getting his 3rd start of the year. And you mentioned this, it's been an ongoing issue. Offensive line. See how they hold up here on 3rd down and 6 for the Longhorns.
Looks like Baylor's going to bring pressure on 3rd down. At least they're showing that. Buechele looking at the sideline, trying to get an adjustment here on 3rd and medium.
On a crossing route, Johnson spins away from one tackler, but not a second. Stopped on 3rd down.
That's a good 3 and out by Baylor. You want to win the field position, especially when you have the punting of Dixon and Texas. You have to be able to get 3 and out to try to make it a little bit easier for your freshman quarterback when you get the ball back.
Dixon, the native Australian, with a tumbler back at the 15-yard line. So Texas at 3-4, Baylor 0-7, and we got a couple flags coming in here at the end of this play. Reggie Smith, our referee this afternoon here at McLean Stadium.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, receiving team number 3. Half the distance to the goal from the dead ball spot will be Baylor's ball, 1st down.
Chris Miller on special teams coming down to cover the kick, and this is just unnecessary. This isn't a bad decision. You're going to get the football inside of your own 25-yard line anyway, which you're not going to have great field position. And I'm sure head coach Matt Rule got a hold of Miller on the sideline and said, we can't have that.
What are you trying to say? I'm going to be tough?
Well, it's just a bad decision, just a terrible decision. Now you've got the ball back at the 10-yard line, and you put your freshman quarterback in a very difficult situation.
This after the last drive started at the 9-yard line for the Bears. It's Terrence Williams on the carry.
They're saying that ball came out.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense, 1st down, Texas. And the ruling on the field of a fumble is under further review.
Well, Williams is spinning, and as he reaches to get another yard, I'm not so sure. It looked like it might have been on its way out as Williams was going down to the ground. A Texas defender gets a hand on the football. It looked like Elliott was the first guy in there. Also Hill on the back end. Boy, that's a tough one to see. It looked like the ball was coming out. Now the ruling on the field was fumble. Take one more look at this from the high angle. It's definitely Hill who had the right hand on the football, stripping it from Williams. There's the elbow down. Is the ball already out of the left side?
And the trouble is for Williams, he was coming down, but then he ends up on top of Elliott.
Right, so he never really hits the ground. The elbow hits the ground there. The ball's out. It's Hill again. One of those defenders. We talked about Elliott and Hill, the defenders for Texas. The 1-2 punch in that secondary. We've already seen Elliott go the distance with an interception for a touchdown. Hill's made a couple open field tackles, and now it looks like he stripped the football away from Terrence Williams, which would give Texas the football inside the 20-yard line.
And if this play holds up with the ruling on the field, it would compound the bad starting field position that Baylor has had on its last couple drives and set Texas up here with a first down at the 16-yard line. A very short field to try and make it a 2-score game in short order here in the first quarter.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. First down.
So no indisputable video evidence to the contrary. Texas comes away with the takeaway.
And they can get points off of the takeaways, and you tee your offense up inside the 20 at the 16-yard line. So this couldn't go any better. This script for Texas early, a couple of defensive turnovers that could lead to 14 points.
And a whistle. Penalty's going to go against Texas.
False start. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Backed up to 1st and 15 for Buechele and the Longhorns. Pressure comes up the middle. They run right through it with Daniel Young.
Well, Texas beat the run blitz there. Baylor crowding the line of scrimmage. Good job by the offensive line of providing some running room for Daniel Young.
Texas quickly right back to it. Nice hole on the right side. Young in a second straight carry.
Texas moving with efficiency, taking advantage of this field position, trying to catch Baylor not lined up properly.
Incomplete pass as the throw bounced to the outside and ruled down right away.
And Mike, this has been a little bit of an issue for Texas this year. Nothing's really a chip shot when the field goal unit comes on the field.
Some consolation for Buechele along the sideline. You're on a short kick for Rowland. Just 6 of 11 on the year. And this one's no good. Nothing comes easy.
They've struggled. You've mentioned 6 of 11 by Joshua Rowland. That one looked to be low and left from the start, and Baylor turns away. It looked like Lewis, the nose tackle on defense, gets a hand up and blocks the attempt from Joshua Rowland. So the Baylor Bears give up the football, but Texas does not come and cash in. Ira Lewis with the big paw on it for the Bears.
Little early celebration for Phil Snow's defense, the guy that his players called the Yoda of defense when they started camp over the summer because of how much he knows. Well, they got the job done there, and the Baylor offense goes back to work. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Blake Lynch with the catch on 1st down. Texas trying to get to 500 overall today at 4-4, 2-2 in conference, and Baylor looking for its first win of the season overall. Here are two teams that they're not at the same level, especially defensively speaking, TCU and Iowa State. But for each of these teams this week, a win would represent something very big for both of them.
Well, Texas, they want to get to 500, as you mentioned. They feel like they're a better football team than their record indicates with all the overtime misfortune, especially last week at home against Oklahoma State. And Baylor, they're losers of 13 of their last 14 games. They want to be able to get a victory to celebrate their hard work. They've got a lot of good athletes on this team, but it hasn't paid off in victories.
Brewer gets flushed out, not enough room to run with it, and he does take off, soaring past Holton Hill, and there's a flag down back at the 11-yard line.
Holding offense number 77. The penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
Other teams around this league, you've got coaches begging guys like Will Greer at West Virginia, please slide.
That's right.
He's an older guy. He gets it. Brewer, oh, you could say the naivete of youth to just go headlong even when you're not necessarily going to get a 1st down.
When you're an old quarterback, it's a lot easier to say slide, but when you're playing and you're in the moment of trying to be a competitor, it's awful tough to make yourself slide sometimes.
That ball's down to the 45 with 1:03 left here in the 1st.
Yeah, only a 30-yard punt, and Texas has really flipped the field on Baylor. So this is another opportunity for Tom Herman and his offense. They've had some exciting games. This one started exciting with the interception, Mike.
They haven't all ended up the way they wanted. Going to double overtime against USC early in the season. Double overtime against K-State. A winner in that one. I'll tell you what, the last 2 years, they've had more overtime games than since overtime has existed.
That's right.
In their previous seasons. And then last week, the interception ending things earlier than they wanted against Oklahoma State. Big opportunity here for John Burt. 25 yards on the catch for the junior from Tallahassee, just his 4th catch of the year.
We talked to offensive coordinator Tim Beck earlier in the week. He said John Burt, one of those guys that has had an excellent week of practice, and it shows on that catch.
And the ball fumbled and dropped by Leonard.
Big wide receiver at 6'3", 200 pounds. Another excellent throw by Buechele from the pocket. Just a simple slant route. You win inside leverage, and you're going to get that advantage on Arnold, who made the tackle.
Second down run doesn't really go very far for Chris Warren. For a team that is looking to establish a running game, it's going to do a little bit more than it has this year. 151 yards on the ground per game, but the last 2 games, running game has averaged just 2 yards a carry.
Well, Texas emptying out the backfield. 3rd and 10, so they're trying to spread the Baylor defense sideline to sideline.
Here comes pressure up the middle, and it's a quick throw across the middle. It's caught by Cade Brewer, the freshman tight end from Austin. Short of a 1st down.
This is the end of the 1st quarter.
Defense, the star of the show here through 15 minutes in Waco. A pick 6 for the Longhorns, the only score as we head to the 2nd.
Looks
Start of the second quarter, Texas leads 7-0 on a pick six for Deshaun Elliott, and now has a 4th and 2. After one field goal was blocked earlier, the offense stays on the field here on 4th down.
And I think a good decision by head coach Tom Herman. They haven't had much success in the kicking game over the season. Get your offense out on the field and see if they can get a 1.5 yards.
Try and run it right through the middle. It was Warren on the carry.
It appeared that ball needed to get to the 20-yard line, and it didn't. Looked like a fumble on the play at the end of that play as well by Buechele. I think if he retained the football, he still would have been shy of the 20-yard line. He's going to follow Chris Warren. This is just a quarterback follow. Does a good job of trying to get airborne. And that Baylor defense, a lot of pressure in the offensive backfield, so he could not give it to Warren. Buechele tried to make it on his own, but a lot of traffic in between the tackles.
So can the Baylor offense get churning here now in the second quarter? Smith is back in, and his throw goes incomplete. So back and forth they've gone. Smith on the opening drive. Brewer for a few more, and Smith to start the second.
Now you're thankful for the opportunity, I would think, if you're Zach Smith, but that's awfully tough to come in, throw your first attempt, it goes the other way for 6 points, and now you wait till the second quarter to come out. And you can see the frustration on the sideline of head coach Matt Rule. He just wants somebody to get this offense started.
Well, this is the guy who got them going late in the game last week, Treston Ebner. The freshman who last week 3 touchdowns, 54 yards on the ground, and better than 100 through the air.
We had 2 touchdown receptions last week. He had the 40-yard touchdown run against the Mountaineers, and then he hits the B button, a little spin move to get the football out closer to the 30-yard line.
He gets swallowed up by Brecken Hager, the junior from Austin.
How about the game he had last week?
2 sacks last week. He was in the backfield a ton. They played what they called their lightning package a lot last week, which is lighter guys at the defensive end spots, and John Bonney kind of playing center field at safety.
And that's the 5th tackle for loss for Texas today.
2nd and 13, a throw well high of Denzel Mims at 6'3". Good thing there wasn't too much extra float on that, or else it might have been pick number 2.
You know what? It almost looks like Zach just needs to trust it from the pocket. He's kind of aiming that thing out there. Just let it go, and don't worry about looking over your shoulder. It's tough to do when you're in the moment, but just go out and play. He's got a strong enough arm to make all the throws, but he needs one here on 3rd and long.
Pressure coming. He goes off the back foot to Ebner, who's cut down short of the 35-yard line.
What a great play
by Holton Hill.
Oh, man, there's 3 blockers out in front, Mike. And Holton Hill finds a way.
Officials timeout for an injured player.
To stop that play by himself.
So it's Ebner who's down on the field, slow to get up after getting undercut by Hill.
This is just an excellent call. The screenplay looks like it's going to go for 15, 20 yards. There's 2 Baylor Bears, a 3rd receiver, and Holton Hill is able to beat the block of the wide receiver, split the 2 offensive linemen, and make a big play on 3rd down for this Texas defense.
And while Hill got up, he looked a little bit woozy too. But it's Ebner still down for Baylor. Texas up a score early here in the second quarter at McLean Stadium on Baylor's campus. Mike Cousins and John Congemi, glad to have you with us as Baylor gets set to kick it away after a stop picked up by Holton Hill there on a nice tackle, but one that may cost him on that 3rd down play. So Connor Martin sends it for Hemp Hill Maps inside the 20-yard line, where he's brought down after a 47-yard kick by Davion Hall. Flag on the play as well. So far, it's been very much a defensive battle this early afternoon. 39 combined plays for a total of 119 yards between these two teams, which comes out to about 3 yards a play.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds. Receiving team, number 2. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So during the punt, there's Holton Hill, who we just showed you on the bench moments ago, going back toward the locker room, and it looked like on the bench when he was getting tended to by the medical staff, it was like the beginning of a concussion protocol, which has already decimated the Texas squad today, with Sam Ehlinger and the center Zach Shackelford not being cleared out of concussion protocol and not making the trip this week. Off to the right side on first down for Tennille Carter.
Holton Hill, you mentioned going to the locker room for another look by the trainers. It was a spectacular play that he makes, fending off the block, but that helmet gets right on the knee or the thigh of Ebner, who also was down on the play, and slow to get up was Holton Hill.
Buechele on the give once again. Carter getting heavy rotation early on in this game. So Buechele getting the start because Ehlinger's in the concussion protocol, and Terrell Cuney, the junior, getting the start at center today over Shackelford. Changes have been the constant for both teams this year. Looking to throw, 3rd and 3, and a crossing route gets the job done for the first down. Colin Johnson, the senior, with the catch.
Good patience by Shane Buechele and good pass protection by the offensive line. Plenty of time to scan the field and let this develop down to the wide side. Just patience, waiting for that receiver to open up.
Just one deep safety here. And Texas takes advantage. Carter bursting through, another first down. Picks up 15 yards.
Good patience has been shown by this freshman running back, Carter.
A dart of a throw and a diving try by Lorenzo Joe, laying out to grab that one on the fingertips.
What a catch. Talk about extending your body. And now Texas is going to go with a little bit more tempo with back-to-back successful plays.
Buechele turns in a quick throw. It's Johnson again, diving forward past the sticks inside the 35. And the Longhorns are on the move, liking the pace they've got.
This is more what you expected to see from this Texas offense. Spread out Baylor and get execution in their passing game.
James Lynch turning the corner, bursting through for a tackle there to help hold the Longhorns on first down.
Baylor, massive defensive substitution here on 2nd and long.
On 2nd and 11, nearly wide open coming in on the slant. It's Joe again, the senior from Abilene, Texas.
And Mike, good play action is getting those linebackers to look in the backfield and again getting the slant behind them for 15 yards.
Well, a quick completion and a quick tackle as well. Johnson there to get it. Seems like things have been set up pretty well here for Buechele. He's got a quick decision and gets rid of the ball.
And I think Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, is getting into a rhythm of what Shane does really well. It's play action, accurate down the field with the football on those quick slants, and they're beating him with the tempo and speed of the throw.
Late substitutions on defense for Baylor. It's Warren across the formation to the back of the end zone. No, too long for Joe.
Boy, what a call by Tim Beck. It looked like everybody in a green jersey is pursuing, but you could tell Chris Warren wasn't looking to run the football. He was extending to the outside, trying to get the football down to Lorenzo Joe in the back of the end zone, just maybe a yard too far for the touchdown.
3rd and 5, neither team off to a good start on 3rd downs. Massive pressure from Baylor, a throw to the end zone. And it's a touchdown for Texas. Lil Jordan Humphrey with his first touchdown of the year.
You get accuracy and you get consistency with Shane Buechele at quarterback. This is not an easy throw. Running to your right, full speed, 15 yards for the touchdown. Just a terrific job of being accurate down the field for the football, and the Texas bench finally finishing a drive. 90 yards, the Longhorns go to get 6 points there.
Roll in for the extra point try. Not good on the first field goal attempt, but the extra point, no problem. He hasn't missed one of those all year. 14-0 Texas. So if you like offense, you just had to be patient to start off your Saturday of college football. From 15 yards, Humphrey, the grab in the end zone.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Wendy's Fresh, Never Frozen Beef Hamburgers, the official hamburger of the NCAA, and Degree Deodorant. It won't let you down.
On site here today, the Wendy's food truck.
Could have been nice to get an invite to that, Mike.
I did.
Oh, you didn't tell? Okay.
I didn't pick you as my +1.
No,
sorry.
You know, I could have helped.
You put down a couple burgers in your day.
I'm pretty good at that.
14-0 Texas with 9:42 left in the second quarter. Injury update from Texas. The school says that P.J. Locke in the secondary, ankle injury. He is out, not going to be back the rest of today. Holton Hill, the standout cornerback, a head injury, is currently being evaluated. A low kick and from the goal line. Here comes Trevor White. He's got the 25 and out to about the 29-yard line. It gives us a chance for the first time to go to the studio and check in with Chris Cotter.
All right, Mike, John, let's start with Rutgers and Michigan. Remember the game last year? Rutgers had a total of 39 yards. Well, here comes Janarian Grant. He's going to go 65 on this one play. Rutgers and Michigan right now in the Big House, all tied up at 7 midway through the second quarter. Meanwhile, Mason Rudolph's just going to keep this one himself on the read option. Scores a second touchdown for Oklahoma State. He has a touchdown pass earlier. It's 13-3 Pokes on ABC.
Well, Chris, perhaps more eyebrow-raising than the Michigan-Rutgers score is what's going on during that update along the sidelines. After this play was over, all of a sudden, everybody not quite content to go back to their respective benches.
No, there was a little pushing and shoving around midfield, and it drew a lot of white jerseys around green jerseys on the sidelines, and that doesn't usually end up well. So we saw a couple flags come out at the end of a lot of pushing and shoving.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, Texas, number 7, non-football act and taunting. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the dead ball spot. It's 1st and 10. This is number 7's first unsportsmanlike foul.
So we've got one on Chris Boyd early in the game. Now you've got one on Antoine Davis, it looks like, on special teams. And those are just penalties you want to stay away from, especially if you're Texas. You feel like this game should be 21, 24, 27-0, and now Baylor tees it up at the 45-yard line. This is clearly the best field position they've had in this game.
And they switch things up at quarterback again here to get things going on this drive. They started with Smith, went to Brewer on the subsequent drives, back to Smith, and now back to Brewer, the freshman from Austin. He's looking to throw here, and up the sideline, a one-handed catch all the way down to the 5-yard line. What a way for Blake Lynch to start off the drive.
Take advantage of field position, and you come out and throw a dime, and how about the catch? Just a great job of getting this ball out. Solomon throws it outside, and then the one-handed catch by Blake Lynch goes for 41 yards.
From inside the 5. And Lovett brought down by the shoelaces. It's a guy from New Jersey. And Jeff Nixon, who calls the plays for this team, is also the running backs coach. They basically said, we begged him to come here. And it was a big part for Lovett to make the trip here. Went to camp at Temple when Matt Rule was the head coach there. I decided to go with the staff.
Well, he needs to find the end zone if he gets an opportunity here on 2nd and goal.
Well, he takes it to the left side with a good push behind him, and he's in for the Baylor touchdown.
And Mike, that's just simply cashing in on field position. You get an explosive play from Brewer with the one-handed catch to Lynch. And then Lovett off the left side just muscles his way into the end zone, dragging a couple Texas defenders. And with the extra point, they're only looking up at a 7-point deficit.
So Baylor is happy to be close, while, like you said, Texas feels like this game should be a much bigger gap on the scoreboard.
It sure does feel that way. With the way the field has been tipped in the Texas favor, it just seems like Texas should have a 2-touchdown lead, but fighting their way back, that's what both of these coaches instill toughness in their teams, and they have history of going against each other in the AAC, so they know each other, their personalities, the way they coach their teams.
They squared off in the 2015 American Conference Championship game. Greg Ward Jr., the standout at Houston, who started off as a wide receiver but ended up becoming one of the most electric quarterbacks in the country, brought Houston to a win in that game. And the guys from the people around their staff said they didn't really talk very much this week. Weren't really sure how to handle that.
They weren't comfortable, you know, do I call, do I not call? They have great respect for one another, and I think that brings out the best in both of these teams. Right now, Rule on the left trying to get their first victory, and Coach Herman, one of those coaches to make the leap from the American to the Power 5 conference.
It's become a league that has almost become like the chia pet for coaches.
That's right.
You just add a little bit of water, a little bit of talent to the roster, and all of a sudden those coaches' careers really start to grow. It's kind of funny between these two coaches. It's like after you go on the first date, right, things are great. So they played each other in 2015. After that, though, who's going to make that first move? Who's going to send the first text? You know, it's a little uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable right now.
But then they get it midfield today. They have to embrace at that point.
I just think they have great respect for the way they run their programs and the way that their beliefs are, and they're trying to instill in these young men become leaders not only on the football field but in life, and you got to respect the way they go about their business.
Young in the backfield here with Buechele. Texas takes a timeout.
Texas calls their first timeout of the half. 30 seconds.
.8:33 second quarter, and as you heard, there's lots of early exciting action around the college football world, and you got plenty of ranked action in the Big 12 today. And if you want to keep up with all of it, the ESPN app is the place to be. You can stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go. Scores, news, highlights, all you need to know. You can download the app to start streaming now.
Tons of big games in the Big 12 today, Mike. Oklahoma State on the road at West Virginia.
Going on right now.
That's right.
So a clear out of the right side and trying to run that way. Not exactly the success they envisioned, going backwards on first down.
And how about the pursuit along the line of scrimmage? You have to like that. Once you get a score on offense, I think it energizes the other side of the football, and you want to be accounted for and make sure you're noticed by your teammates as well.
Buechele clears out, and another direct snap. James Lynch quickly there to make a strong tackle on Carter, who's been the guy to take those Wildcat snaps.
Another freshman making plays in this football game. Both teams, a lot of young players at key positions, and Lynch got his first sack last week, gets a big tackle there on second down. Last time in this formation, Texas wanted to get to the slant routes, open up the middle, going 5 wide.
Third down and 9. Buechele's got some room to run. Can he make it to the marker? And he gets out of bounds, standing up, hurdling the benches. Enough for a Texas first down.
And I know the head coach, Tom Herman, you got to be holding your breath anytime number 7 takes off, because there's not a whole lot of depth there with Ellinger out with the concussion. You've got your starter in Buechele, an ankle not 100%, so anytime he takes off, you have to be careful.
There were offensive substitutions. The ball was not made ready for play, and Baylor not given an opportunity to match up. There will be no timeout.
Matt Rule, understandably, in the officials' ears, making sure that everything was officiated to the letter of the law. But as you mentioned, going back to the Texas quarterback situation there, you've got Buechele, who's been working through an ankle sprain that he suffered against Iowa State. But if he were to get hurt today, the next guy up would be Gerard Hurd, who has not had a full year in this system, plenty of time to get acclimated as a multi-series quarterback.
And what you can tell is Buechele very accurate with the football, 12 of 14, 122 and a touchdown.
And now he's loaded up, trying to go deep down the middle of the field and overshoots everybody.
But you're right, you have to be able to pick and choose when you want to take your shots downfield and when you're going to run the football if you're Shane Buechele. Gerard Hurd was impactful playing that wide receiver spot, playing a little wildcat, but that would be limited because of the lack of depth at the position.
Plenty of space. Lorenzo Joe's been a popular target today. He's got a first down and takes it to the 45-yard line into Baylor territory.
And the freshman Harrison Hand had coverage, but gave way too much cushion to Lorenzo Joe. That's an easy pitch and catch for Buechele.
Find some space along the outside inside the 40-yard line. Amani Foreman.
Seems like Texas has had no problem between the 20s. It's finishing. They have to be able to get into scoring range and maybe even strike outside of that red zone with a big passing play. Joe's been the guy on the outside. They've had 8 different receivers on the afternoon.
This is really more significant workload for Buechele since September 28th against Iowa State. Played a few snaps against Oklahoma, but it's been a lot of Ellinger. Now setting up to try and throw downfield, and a very wobbly short pass from Humphrey. Well, a couple of trick plays. The execution not perfect.
For an injured player.
Well, it looked like they had what they wanted, but confusion in the Texas backfield by a Baylor defender threw off the timing of the pass on the outside.
And the injured Baylor defender is the linebacker Eric Oger. Sophomore from Richmond, Texas, with a couple of sacks on the year.
Looking at that left ankle. No, defensive coordinator Phil Snow was excited for Oger to get his first start, or get a start today.
It's been a defensive unit for Baylor this year, where players have shifted positions, tried out new roles, but he's been able to sell them on that because he says, look, this is something that is not unfamiliar for me. I've been coaching for decades. I've moved a lot of guys around.
They have the athletes. They just need to plug them in at the right spots.
So 3rd down and 2. Humphrey takes the ball. Those 3rd down and short plays have been really difficult.
That looked like another great play by Ira Lewis up front.
All right, here they go, right back to the line of scrimmage. We got a timeout from Baylor.
Prior to the snap.
Football Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show. Tuesday at 7 on ESPN. Presented by Allstate.
4th and 2 for Texas. Baylor 38-yard line. Joe is the motion man. Buechele hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Humphrey, and Baylor is going to try and tie this game up.
Great defensive stand by the Baylor Bears. Taylor Young in the backfield, making it difficult to convert that 4th down opportunity for Shane Buechele. He's going to sneak through from that linebacker position, comes right through the guard center gap, forces Buechele to miss wide and outside. And now again, for the 2nd straight series, the Baylor offense in pretty good field position.
After a stagnant start to their day, their first 6 drives, 22 plays, netted just 54 yards. Their touchdown drive, 3 plays, 55 yards. A short gain on 1st down for Terrence Williams. Part of that 4-man stable at running back. He's the guy who's got great experience. Almost 1,100 yards on the ground last year.
4 running backs, 2 quarterbacks. We've seen it all in that Baylor backfield.
Ball tipped and whistled dead, incomplete, intended for Mims. Brecken Hager bringing the pressure against Brewer.
This is a guy that's gone from linebacker to defensive end in week 3, and he's really found a home coming off the edge. He's slender enough and quick enough to split those offensive linemen and make it difficult getting in those passing lanes and into the backfield to harass Charlie Brewer.
Son of Britt, the all-time leading tackler for the Longhorns. 3rd down and 7 for the mobile Brewer. They have enough space here. He stood up at the 46-yard line, a couple yards shy of the first down marker. Met and dropped by Malik Jefferson.
Well, the Texas defense matches the Baylor defense, and I think Baylor's going to play field position, kick this football potentially back to the Longhorns.
There was a little indecision there for a few seconds.
When you're searching for your first victory, a lot of those decisions, I would think, no matter whether it's in the first half or the second half, you have to walk through and say, maybe we should roll the dice and go for it here. Oh,
ball comes loose from Martin, who just slides and gets on top of it.
well, can Texas, the question is, can Texas take advantage now of another opportunity with a short field? Bad mistake by Connor Martin, not just securing the football. A little bit high, but one you should secure. Took his eye off the football, and now Texas going to tee it up at the Baylor 28-yard line. Can't have those mistakes when you're an 0-7 football team, down 7 at home, trying to take advantage of that offensive series a couple of minutes ago.
And they're going right up the middle. They said he's not a runner. They said his ankle was hurt. And Buechele goes 28 yards on the ground to make it a 13-point Texas lead.
There's a finish for you. Shane Buechele takes it into his own hands and goes the distance for the score. So after the mistake on special teams, makes the correct read on the zone play and just uses his speed, bad ankle and all, gets into the end zone. He went up the tunnel and looked like Bo Jackson there.
Big play there with 3:51 left in the half, and the extra point is good. Tom Herman said this week, for Buechele with the ankle brace, he's as good as he's going to be all year. Well, how about it? Healthy, upright, and crossing the goal line. Slow start, no matter for Tom Herman and the Longhorns. 2 out of their last 3 drives have culminated with trips to the end zone.
Well, they get the defensive score early by Elliott on the interception return, but you can see the offense punt, you get a blocked field goal, but then starting to catch fire, they took advantage of field position and a turnover on downs by Baylor and turned it now into a 21-7 lead.
Couple of return opportunities today for White, who's favored this near sideline. A hole opens up out across the 30-yard line. Today we'll have number 4 undefeated TCU at 7-0 taking on number 25 Iowa State in Ames. Top 2 defenses in the Big 12. TCU feeling good after allowing Kansas 21 yards last week. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC or ESPN2. Make sure to check your local listings. And Kenny Hill, he's 5th in FBS in completion percentage. He's 3rd in his own league behind Baker Mayfield and Nick Shimonek of Texas Tech.
That's a tough crowd.
Good important drive here for Baylor is Jermichael Hasty, the sophomore from Longview, Texas, who's now healthy after missing 4 games with a knee injury, goes for a dozen as they try and climb back here with Texas set to get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah, you want to get a score before halftime. It doesn't necessarily need to be a touchdown, but you'd love to get points before halftime.
Going backwards, there's Brecken Hager, a wrecking ball in the backfield.
This defensive team for Texas has done a good job of creating negative plays over the last 5 football games. And here, just penetration up the field, sets the edge, finds the football, and finds the ball carrier.
A loss of 4, now 2nd and 14. Pressure from the edge, and it's Brewer who splits the defenders and throws toward the sideline. Gavin Holmes is there.
The ruling on the field is a completed catch.
Holmes gets off the ground, and good anticipation by Brewer, stepping up and splitting the pressure in his own backfield. But let's take a look at catch. Looks like that left foot was down. Yeah, it looks like a catch.
1 foot down and control of the ball to complete possession for Holmes.
An eligible receiver downfield on the pass. Offense number 85 was covered by an outside receiver. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. We'll repeat second down.
That's going to take back the nifty footwork by Gavin Holmes on the Baylor sideline.
It's not going to make Matt Rule very happy either. He gets ushered back toward the sideline. And this year, coaches have to know that the officials are instructed to throw the flag there without too much warning when the coaches get out onto the field.
I might have been upset too, because that never really saw the flag until late. That was a good job of anticipation by Charlie Brewer, stepping up into the pocket to find Holmes, but it looks like it's coming back.
Texas will accept the 5-yard penalty for an eligible downfield. Repeat second down.
(21-7) Texas over Baylor. 2:42 left here in the second as the Longhorns look to get to 500 and snap a 2-game slide. And Baylor looks for its first win of the season, with its last victory coming in its bowl game at the end of last season.
The discussion was pending a completed catch. Because the catch was completed and confirmed in replay, Texas has decided to accept the ineligible receiver downfield. It is second down.
More delays on this play than a windy tarmac at a hub airport right now.
You've had experience at that, huh?
I heard you had a little adventure.
I did. It was a tough 28 minutes from Dallas-Fort Worth to Waco, that's for sure. Seems like we're getting more discussion on the Baylor sideline.
You know, they said these coaches hadn't talked a bit since it was the first time they were
you
playing
go tell
against each other.
Tom this.
You know what? Maybe they should have their own talk show.
It's a tough call. If it's a 5-yard penalty, make it a 5-yard penalty and let's go.
We have officially the most deliberated 5-yard penalty in the 2017 college football season. Well, Gavin Holmes was the receiver who made the catch on that play and did a nice job to get the foot in bounds. Matt Rule said during this last week, he texted his dad and he said, you know what, look, you raised a winner with this kid. And that's been part of the process for Rule in building the Baylor program, is trying to build those relationships with parents and players.
Because he didn't recruit any of these guys,
didn't recruit the kids, didn't go with the parents to sit in their houses to talk on the phone. And so it's just been a continual process. He said even parents of the players that he coached at Temple are still in touch with him because of how big of a part of their lives he was. So after all the delay, We got another sideline throw. And this one is caught out near midfield by Marcus Jones.
And another terrific escape job by Charlie Brewer in the backfield. Same spot on the field it looked like that the reception was made 5 minutes ago by Gavin Holmes.
Takes us inside 2 minutes before halftime. Pressure from the Longhorns, and that ball slipped through the hands of Chris Boyd, the cornerback on the outside. Tough coverage.
And a positive play that time by Chris Boyd. He ran that route for the Baylor wideout. That was good recognition. Never was threatened deep, never got out of his back pedal, and his eyes were on the football and on the quarterback the entire time.
And the good news on defense as well for Texas. Holton Hill cleared out of the concussion protocol after he went back to the locker room. He's back out on the field. Clean catch, clean punt for the Bears. Took him out to the 15-yard line. So they don't capitalize on their opportunity to score here going toward halftime. And now Texas can grow the lead with a couple of timeouts and 90 seconds on offense for Shane Buechele. His dad, Steve, the Rangers bench coach, had a nice career in Major League Baseball. Oh, tough going.
That's a tough home life right there, yeah.
It's worked out all right for him. You said it, John. Quarterbacks are ping pong champions.
They're always champions, absolutely.
Were you?
Yes, in my day. Only had to play my brother and my sister, but I was a champion.
Tough competition there, partner. But now everybody says, oh, John Kajemi, that's who you're working with? Oh, how's his golf game? That's the first question everybody asks.
Well, you know what? Actually, Shane's dad, Steve Buechele, had to give me shots. He's so good at golf. See there? He learned from John Elway, his roommate at Stanford.
Finally found somebody better than you.
Yeah.
One deep safety. Short throws have been the order of the day for Buechele and the Longhorns as he finds Johnson along the perimeter.
This would be nice for Texas to move this football down, at least get an opportunity for points. Commanding lead right now, 21-7. Feels like it should be more. So you'd like to get, if you get an explosive play, you've got time with 2 timeouts. If not, you go to the house up 14, getting the third quarter kickoff.
Empty it out. Carter takes it.
Looks like Baylor may take a timeout with 21 seconds.
And they do. We got a lot coming your way at halftime with Chris Cotter leading the rodeo in studio. Oklahoma State taking on West Virginia. A great kickoff simultaneous to ours. And taking a look at the rest of the Saturday slate. Got another official's timeout for an injured player. 21 seconds left here before halftime.
Under 1 minute with a running clock requires a 10-second runoff. To avoid the 10-second runoff, Baylor calls her second timeout in the half. 30 seconds.
So we close in here on halftime. What's been the biggest difference maker in the first 30 minutes in your eyes?
Field position. I think Texas had excellent field position and a defensive score.
Right.
You get it right away with the interception. You get energized on your sideline. Then you take advantage of field position to finish with 21 first half points. So could it have been more? Yes. I think Texas left some points out there with the blocked field goal opportunity. You go for it on 4th down, you don't get it. So there was opportunities in the red zone for more points, but you'll take the 14-point lead.
Fair catch called for by Nicholson at the 35. And it's 15 seconds on the clock, 1 timeout. After your college football Saturday, make sure to kick off your Week 8 NFL Sunday with the Countdown Crew at 10 Eastern on ESPN. Early breaking stories, injury updates, and a preview of each game right up until kickoff. That is all also streaming live on the ESPN app. Quarterback change again, back to Zach Smith here for Baylor.
He's the guy with the strong arm, so if you're going to try to throw a football downfield with 15 seconds left to get into field goal range, he'd be the guy.
Nice tackling there from the Texas defense. Able to keep the clock going. Baylor's got one timeout left, and they use it. Stopping the clock at 6.
Final timeout of the half. The clock operators recently set the clock to 7 seconds. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Well, while we've got the opportunity, let's take a look at our all-state, all-hands-in play for this afternoon's game.
Well, it's good to see Holton Hill back in the game. He was taken to the locker room early, checked for concussion. It looked like he had his helmet on a knee, but he's made impactful plays while he was out there, always around the football, causing a fumble. And this screenplay, this is the play where it looked like he got the helmet right on the knee, on the left knee of Ebner, the running back. Didn't feel great after that, but looks like to be okay now and back in the game for this Texas defense.
He was a big part of what they did last week, holding Mason Rudolph to no touchdowns and 282 yards, his season low. So one last opportunity here for Baylor before the half. Texas perfect in coverage, does exactly what it needed to do to take a 21-7 advantage to the locker room. Back and forth, Baylor went at quarterback, starting field position an issue. The defense has been the constant for Texas. It got them started, and the offense picked up where the defense left off. Texas has its eyes on 4-4 on the year. They don't want this to be their trap game this week against one of just 3 winless teams in college football. Stay tuned for our halftime report. We'll have scores, updates, and features along with stats, analysis, and highlights of this game. Longhorns 21, Bears 7. That's coming up right after these messages. Because it started with defense, as it has most often this year for the Longhorns.
They did a nice job of getting the Longhorn bench up early with the interception by Deshaun Elliott. He goes 43 yards untouched to open up the scoring. And then it was Buechele on the run. He finds little Jordan Humphreys in the corner of the end zone, a 15-yard flick of the wrist. And then the guy with the bad ankle, he's able to go 28 yards untouched on the zone read. Buechele capping off the scoring for the Texas Longhorns in the first half.
Texas winners of the opening toss, so they defer. They get the ball here. Jay Sedgwick ready to kick it away, a guy who was just a regular member of the student body a couple weeks ago. Called for tryouts for kickers, and here he is. Had a couple of nice onside kicks last week in that comeback effort. Chris Boyd on the return is out across the 40-yard line, and he gets ridden out of bounds all the way up to the 44. So with Texas already in the lead, great starting field position to open the third. Get a chance to look back again quickly with today's game track, brought to you by Taco Bell, which shows us what we know. It was a nice first half for Shane Buechele.
Efficient from the quarterback position. Shane doing a great job of distributing the football. A lot of guys getting involved. 2 big takeaways. 1 return for a touchdown, and then Brewer on the other side for Baylor. 106 yards passing.
Buechele's got all sorts of time. That ankle has looked quite healthy here today. Sliding safely across midfield.
Good awareness by Shane Buechele. Nothing there down the field. Doesn't want to force it. You've got great field position and a comfortable 14-point lead. You want to keep your offense on the field, make positive plays on first down.
He gives it up for Carter, who lost his footing on that 2nd and 5 play.
See if there's any adjustments made at halftime for Texas when they were in 3rd and 5 or less. A lot of negative plays, a lot of problems moving the chains on 3rd down and on 4th down. So let's see if Texas has a new wrinkle on 3rd down.
3 for 9 on conversions in the first half. Here comes the blitz. Buechele on the roll. His throw to the sideline is incomplete, tipped away, intended for Amani Foreman.
I'm not so sure if Vaughn's, the safety, was able to get a hand on it or it was just dropped by Foreman. Buechele, again facing pressure from the wide side of the field, goes towards the Baylor bench. It just gives Foreman a chance to come up and make the play for the football. You have to actually make yourself big and attack the football on 3rd down, not let it come to you.
So 3 plays, gets all of 6 yards for Texas. And with an opportunity to make a statement here to start this second half, they don't get the job done on offense.
The ruling on the field is a touchback, first down. Mic check.
1-2, 1-2.
We got him. Got him loud and clear.
The ruling on the field is a
I think the ruling on the field's a touchback, Mike.
I think it's a tuck.
Difficult when those microphones don't cooperate. Now Baylor, their first opportunity of this second half. Need to get something going early.
Getting some big blockers out in front for Terrence Williams. Saw Xavier Newman, the left guard, pulling around there earlier after they tried a screen pass in the game. He wasn't quite as effective as a blocker. That substitution in time for Texas on defense.
I think it's important for Baylor, if they're going to start the second half with Charlie Brewer, they should end the second half with Charlie Brewer. Give him an opportunity, one of these quarterbacks, whichever one it is, to play consecutive series.
Through the middle, first down Baylor. Why is that so important he plays all those snaps?
I just think for your rhythm. You don't want to have to look over your shoulder constantly every series. It's my job now. I've got it. If you're going to give it to me, let me go out and do my thing. And let me fight through some adversity, because it might be better on the other end if things start going well. I think that's what they should have done with Smith in the first half.
And they've got a quarterback who comes from a very strong program out of Lake Travis High School, which has turned out guys like Garrett Gilbert, like Todd Reesing. And Brewer actually originally committed to SMU. Chad Morris, the former head coach at Lake Travis, now at SMU, but ultimately decided to graduate early and enroll at Baylor. So more of a commitment to running the ball here. And a gain of a pair on second down.
They weren't able to get to that because it felt like, with the defensive score early in the game from Texas, bad field position, you're trying to do anything you can to get first downs. But the plan was that if they could run the football, it's going to take pressure off of Smith. It's going to take pressure off of Brewer, so they don't have to do too much in the passing game. Stay balanced and, more importantly, stay on the field.
coming into this game, averaging about 4 yards a carry on the ground. Now on 3rd down and 3. Looking for some short routes. Holton Hill in coverage again. He went to the locker room in the first half, came back, and continues to be exceptionally effective.
Well, Mike, there's our guy again. I mean, he's one of the best.
There's a Dr. Pepper Museum and Free Enterprise Institute. Did you know that back on October 24th, you could have gotten free admission if you sang a Dr. Pepper jingle at the museum?
I might have sang one, but it would have been so bad they still would have not let me in.
Well, John, we got plenty of time if you'd like to try today.
I don't think so.
A hard pass, right?
Oh, yes, that's exactly right.
So Texas gets the ball back here. Second drive for them of this 3rd quarter. And a toss out toward the numbers for Lil Jordan Humphrey, who had a touchdown catch in the first half. Four-man rush against Buechele, who realizes his window was quickly closing. And he gets clobbered by James Lynch. Speaking of Dr. Pepper, it's time for our championship drive update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's a great week in the Big 12 with 5 ranked teams in the conference. And another high-scoring affair going on right now with Oklahoma State up by 20 on top of West Virginia in the 3rd on ABC.
How about Iowa State? That's the surprise, I think, of the Big 12.
And another opportunity for them here to get, they're not surprising anyone at this point, but to get another big upset going up against the top team in the league. Buechele with quick footwork, but not quick enough to get away from the rush. Ira Lewis, first man on the scene.
Well, we mentioned Ira Lewis in the run game most of the day, but also now comes on a little bit of a twist, a game up front, and is able to find Shane Buechele in the pocket. Credit to the secondary, nowhere to throw the football, and then quickly, all 290 pounds of Ira Lewis on top of the Longhorns quarterback.
Team leader with 3.5 sacks. Nice extra Longhorns bounce on the end of the punt from Dixon. 4 straight weeks where he's had one at least go 60. A little bit short, only 54. Great day for the punter.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, the part of parenting that's impossible to mess up. And the Mazda CX-5, driving matters.
Great day for football here in Central Texas, one of the few college football stadiums where you can arrive via watercraft.
It is pretty cool. It's a great looking stadium. I'm sure the students, some arrive by foot, some arrive by water, but it's a great scenic place and really a nice home field advantage, I would think, for the Baylor Bears once they get this thing cranked up.
First down design quarterback run for Brewer. Going back and forth with the quarterbacks today between Smith, the sophomore, and Brewer, the freshman from Austin. That's 5 quarterback switches today and 3 times that Brewer has been inserted into the game.
Well, it's sure tough to get consistency, and if I'm Charlie Brewer or Zach Smith, just let me know if this is my second half, because one play, 2 plays, 1 series, 2 series, you just can't get a lot of rhythm going.
Ball comes loose on the handoff, and it's quickly scooped up by Texas. The defense comes up with another takeaway. This time it's John Bonney.
Well, earlier in the game, Deshaun Elliott turned an interception into a touchdown. This time, John Bonney almost takes that forced fumble, the scoop and score. Good exchange in the backfield, but Lovett loses the football. And Bonney, the junior from Houston, right man at the right place at the right time, scoops it up. And again, the Longhorn offense is going to be teed up with excellent field position. Third takeaway on the afternoon for head coach Tom Herman and his defense.
First and 10 at the 16-yard line. Daniel Young, the running back, with 4 wide. Here comes pressure, quick throw. Johnson down to about the 11 or 12-yard line. Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator for Baylor, made an interesting observation. He said it's not a lot of plays that become troublesome for his team. It's 4 or 5 plays throughout the game, and it hasn't necessarily been the defense breaking down today, but the offense more so.
Well, they need to hold up here against sudden change on defense.
Buechele in a strong pocket, finds a crossing route, a stiff arm, a stretch by Brewer, and he's brought down shy of the goal line.
Great effort by Cade Brewer. He's trying to get that football to touch the edge of that pylon, but he gets the Longhorns inside of the 3-yard line down to the 2, where it'll be first and goal. Not very efficient in the red zone, but they need to finish here, take control of this football game.
Buechele one-on-one to the end zone. Incomplete, looking for Johnson, who's got a height advantage over just about anybody at 6'6".
Arnold battling that height to the short side of the field. It's a good first down call, and it's a good opportunity to get your 6'6" wide receiver. Just give him a chance to go up and get it, but Arnold was there on first and goal.
Design run right side, still standing. Lewis falls on top of Carter.
But Lewis has had an outstanding game for the Bears. All along that line of scrimmage, he's been dominant at the point of attack, and he'll need to do it again. I think the Longhorns going to go north and south maybe here.
Carter again, he wants to go to the left side, and there's a flag as the play is blown dead.
Offense, number 32. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's on the other running back who is there, the lead blocker, Daniel Young.
Some of those mistakes you just can't have when you have the football first and goal at the 2, and now you're outside of the 5-yard line, which tells me Shane Buechele is going to have an opportunity to throw the football here. Slant routes, corner routes, that's where you're looking.
Buechele and the Longhorns looking for 6. And a throw to the goal line for Joe is down at the 1.
Looks like they're going to give him the catch inside the 1. That offensive line, are they going to ask him to move the football, or are they going to bring on the field goal unit?
So the offense goes off the field here. 6:20 to go in the 3rd. And if they didn't have that penalty, how much simpler it might have been.
Any kind of points right now are good points, and with the way Joshua Rowland's been kicking the football, you want to give him the easiest opportunity possible. And this one is it.
From 18. And he's got it. So Texas gets the points it was looking for. 24-7 Longhorns. Clemson in action for the first time since its loss against Syracuse a couple weeks ago. The last Georgia Tech win at Clemson, 2008. It's been a while.
It's been a while. And how about Georgia Tech? I mean, they're a couple plays from being undefeated. You lose a double overtime game in the opening week at against Tennessee, and then Miami makes a big play at the end of the game to really seal a victory and steal it from the Yellow Jackets.
5:55 in the 3rd. We'll go to the studio. Here's Chris Cotter.
All right, John just mentioned Miami having to steal that one against the Jackets late. They may need to do the same thing in Chapel Hill. Here's Anthony Ratliff-Williams on the trickeration to Bo Corrales for the score. It's just a 4-point lead for Miami right now over on ESPN2.
Whoa, look out when everybody's saying all hope is lost for the one-win Tar Heels. They got a game.
Dangerous at home. But Miami, they've been finding ways to win games. They did it at Florida State. They did it home against Georgia Tech. They survived against Syracuse.
And our 6th quarterback change of the day for Baylor as Smith buys himself some real estate and throws too high on first down.
You know, Mike, I just feel like it's unsettling for an offense, for the other 10 guys in the huddle or the other 10 guys at the line of scrimmage when you're constantly changing your quarterback. I know you're trying to find different ways to move the football, but I just feel, as a former guy that played the position, it sure doesn't do you any good with your confidence to stand on the sidelines and you come in and you miss one like that and you're wondering why, and then the next series you're on the sidelines again.
I think especially for Brewer, who's on the sideline right now, think about how he might feel after he helped engineer that comeback last week to say, well, do you trust me or not?
What have you done for me lately? And it's one of those things where it's just tough on both guys. It's not fair to both guys.
Talking a takeoff, not enough to pick up the first down there on the run. So while the Baylor defense has done its part, you know, we talked about it in the commercial, it's got to be the shortest field goal in college football this year.
It's right up there with them. That's right.
On the 1-yard line, an 18-yard kick. The Baylor defense has held up all right, but the offense has just not given them enough time to get breaks on the sideline or enough room to breathe. Fair catch called for and taken at the 27-yard line. And as you talked about with Chris in Miami, Georgia Tech in close plays throughout the year, these teams have known that the close play is so important. It's defined the season for both Texas and Baylor.
Well, but just the overtime period for Texas, that's really defined their season. They lose a close one out at USC early in the game. Last week at home, you lose by 3 with the interception in overtime. Oklahoma, it's not an overtime situation, but it's a 5-point game against one of the nation's best teams.
Who's shallow at the target toward the outside. Dorian Leonard, the first down catch, dragged down by Jamison Houston. And the plays last week that defined those games came down right to the very end, whether it was an interception for one side or a sack for the other at the end of the game. Here's Carter breaking away down the sideline. First down and then some, finally corralled after he gets away. The freshman from Houston off and running, picks up 24.
Mike, I love the pad level of Carter. Once he gets hit, he just springs off of the would-be tackler and propels himself down the field.
They don't give him any time to breathe. They give it right back to him, as a matter of fact. Bravion Roy and James Lynch hit him.
I think it's shot time right here. Maybe a little play action and throw the football up. John Burt, we haven't called his name. He's to the wide side up top of the screen. Little play action, give me a shot from Shane Buechele.
Off the fake, little Jordan Humphrey with a hurdle down the sideline. Some athleticism from the sophomore, helping to make something out of almost nothing, gets 25.
Little Jordan goes vertical. That was nice. Just a simple play action, bubble screen outside, good blocking on the perimeter, and then he's going to get the ball down to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, little Jordan goes jump man.
That's right.
3.5 third quarter. Back to Jumpman Jr. inside the 15.
Great athleticism on the prior play. Just goes clear over the would-be tackler, Jamison Houston.
Carter off to the right side, slips one tackle, finds the end zone, but a flag from the backside of the play may be a hindrance to putting 6 on the board.
Holding. Offense number 51. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
That's on Terrell Cuny, who's starting at center today, with the regular starter Zach Shackelford not cleared out of the concussion protocol.
There was a big hole in the middle of the field for Carter. Center number 51, Cuny. He's going to get called for the, look like the right arm inside, pulling down the nose tackle, Tyrone Hunt. You mentioned a lot of injuries early in the season for Texas up front. 2 young guys at tackle, and now the junior filling in for the sophomore Shackelford.
The Bears drop 8 into coverage, and it pays off. It's an interception in the end zone, and here comes Arnold on the return. Grayland Arnold picks off Shane Buechele. Baylor has some life late in the third.
This defense has done a great job of turning away Texas when they've had opportunities close to the red zone or in the red zone. Buechele had what he wanted here. He just threw a flat ball, came out just a hair flat. He wanted to get over the under coverage of Grayland Arnold, but Arnold goes vertical, makes a nice play on the ball, and now the Baylor Bears get another chance starting at their own 20.
Came into this game with just 1 interception as a team this year and allowing the most yardage in the Big 12. The quarterback carousel continues. Brewer takes the snap and hands it off on first down.
Charles Omenihu did a great job at the point of attack for Texas, that right side. He's a big man at 6'7", 280 pounds, and just stuffed the Baylor run on first down. But that's the story, Mike. You mentioned it. It's been Smith and Brewer, and then Smith, back and forth at quarterback.
Trying to find a winning combination. Second down pass is complete, but another stick from Houghton Hill.
He's one of the better defensive players I've seen all season. You got to love what Houghton Hill did last week against Oklahoma State. Breaks on the football. He's physical. He tackles well in the open field. He's got the entire package you're looking for, not only at this level, but possibly at the next.
And now can they come up with just a first down? After showing soft coverage, the Longhorns press up on the edges. They go to Hasty, the sophomore from Longview, Texas, and that is not the answer they wanted.
Malcolm Roach, terrific job of contacting Hasty in the backfield behind the line of scrimmage. Too much penetration on first down and on third down allowed by the Baylor offensive line. That offense may just stay out there on fourth down.
Say, all right, selling out for the pass. 4th and 2. Just a 3-man rush. And the throw across the middle is incomplete. Texas will take over with great field position once again.
That's just a missed opportunity by Baylor. Texas wasn't lined up properly. They had guys all over the place. And you've got to throw right in the middle of the field. And Charlie just missed his wide receiver.
Did you think it was a panicked throw?
He might have been shocked he was that wide open. You know, sometimes when you're in the middle of the field, Mike, you've got a lot of arms and you're just trying to get the football through the line of scrimmage. He should have hit him, but maybe he didn't have a clean window. He was trying to throw it around an arm and missed him.
1st and 10 with the ball on the Baylor 28. Off the quick toss, Carter, who showed some explosiveness earlier, Takes it down to the 20.
Carter gets a lot of yards after first contact. He's done it all afternoon.
And he's been the guy in this formation whenever Buechele has cleared out. Trying to turn the corner. Real estate not available. Just 15 seconds left here in the third quarter. They can let it wind down if they choose. And they'd be wise to do it with a 24-7 advantage.
This is the end of the third quarter.
The Longhorns have 500 in their sights, 24-7 on the road with 15 minutes to play. Three-score game as we go to the fourth quarter. Texas up 24-7, and a handoff here to start the fourth quarter. Ends with a touchdown for Tennille Carter.
A 19-yard sprint by Carter. He deserves a touchdown. The way he's run the football today in between the tackles, accelerates right up the middle of the Baylor defense, who's been very good on that end of the field in the red zone, but this time Carter makes him pay for 6.
The extra point is good. A 4-man stable at running back, but Tennille Carter has no problem being a feature guy today. Untouched until the goal line. In for 6. Play back underway here at McLean Stadium. First down opportunity for JaMycal Hasty. Zach Smith is in at quarterback for Baylor. Back and forth they've gone. It will be interesting after this game to hear the thought process of going back and forth between Smith and Brewer. Denzel Mims, I haven't gotten to call his name in quite some time as he goes over the middle. Picks up 21.
You're right. We haven't said his name since early in the contest, and when you play quarterback, you have to be tough. Zach Smith took a big shot at the end of that pass, but Baylor now close to midfield.
Baylor holds up with the blitz, and the throw is just off target, intended for Pooh Strickland.
And I think the play before affected that pass on first down. And as Zach Smith's going to come out of the game holding his right side, his right shoulder, this is a big shot at the end of this. That's actually the play, the last play, where he threw the football. He knows something's wrong with his shoulder, so he's going to come off of the football field and under the tent right away.
So it's Brewer, the freshman from Austin, with an empty backfield. They designed the run for him, and he takes it across midfield. That's what he can do well. And if there's any optimism here on the Baylor side, it certainly can be with Brewer at quarterback, because he came in last week and the offense scored 23 points on its final 4 possessions.
Unanswered in the fourth quarter to make it a game, and had a chance to tie it up with that 2-point conversion.
Can they keep the chains moving? Pass is caught inside the 40-yard line, and a first down. Trevor White makes the catch. For just the second time they've been able to move the chains on third down. It's been problematic considering that coming into this drive, half of their opportunities today on their drives have either been turnovers or 3 and outs. And Brewer just hits the turf.
Good pressure again. Gary Johnson coming from the wide side, the field side. Todd Orlando trying to heat it up on first down to break the momentum of the Baylor offense, and it was the pressure again in the pocket that led to a negative play.
Second and 25. How much of that can they get back? Denzel Mims helps the cause as they'll be just a little bit shy of the original line of scrimmage. It's a guy who comes in averaging 20 yards a catch and tied for the 4th most touchdown catches in FBS. The injured Longhorn is the defensive end, Charles Omenahu. He's been part of a very effective defensive end rotation this year for defensive coordinator Todd Orlando.
Yeah, it's been Roach and Hager, Omenahu. You know, Poona Ford up front has had an excellent game as well, as we see Charles get up on his feet with some help.
The 3rd down and 11 coming here for Baylor. It'll be their 15th snap behind the chains today. So plays going 11 yards or more for a 1st down for Baylor.
Well, it's tough to put plays together with any consistency when you have that many plays behind the chains.
Against a 4-man rush. There goes Brewer. Pressure from the backside. His sideline throw is caught at the 35. Trevor White again.
2 catches for White. And the Baylor offense is going to stay out on the field for 4th down. Just good effort by Charlie Brewer. He takes a big shot at the end of that play from Gary Johnson, but is still accurate with the football down the field. Tough freshman quarterback.
That's the danger for any quarterback playing against the Texas defense.
They will come after you. He's going to have to stand in there and deliver on 4th down.
4th and 8, and a fastball right to the sticks. Close, but a 1st down. Marcus Jones, who started out as a wide receiver, moved to defensive back, now back at wide receiver. 1st down. A big comeback last week with Brewer on the field. Fell just a couple points shy against West Virginia, in big part due to Treston Ebner, who had 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns.
There's still plenty of time in this football game with just under 11 minutes left to go. Baylor needs 6 points here. You got to protect the football and find a way to get it to your playmakers. We've mentioned Denzel Mims a couple of times in this drive, White a couple of times in this drive. Going to need that explosive play for a touchdown.
Mims lined up at the bottom of the screen. Brewer looks that way and now just may take off. He does, as he gets tackled hard from the backside by Malik Jefferson.
There is no foul call. Horse-collar tackle. The quarterback is not taken down. 3rd down.
I think it was more of a hit from Jefferson with his right hand and arm. See if he takes a hold of the shoulder pads. I think it's more of a hit and a slide to the back of the jersey. I don't think he got to the nameplate or inside the jersey to bring him down. I think it was more of the momentum going down towards the sidelines. Still a dangerous play by Jefferson.
Another 3rd down. We've got a whistle before the snap. Timeout, Texas.
Prior to the snap, Texas calls their 1st timeout of the half.
Baylor on the move. Time to scheme before 3rd and 6.
ESPN College Football is presented by Vizio, maker of award-winning 4K displays, and in part by Elite PM. Elite PM for a better AM.
four-down territory the rest of the way here for Baylor. Down 31-7 on its home turf in search of win number 1 on the year. It'd be just their second in the last calendar year, as Texas with the lead tries to go to 500 on the season. Charlie Brewer and the Bears with a 3rd and 6. And that pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage. Malcolm Roach getting a hand on it and making it 4th down and 6.
Well, Mike, just a couple minutes ago before the break, you mentioned all the talent that Texas has at the defensive end position. Now Malcolm Roach pitches in to do his part on 3rd down. That's a good defense and an improving defense since that first game for Todd Orlando, their defensive coordinator.
Lighter 3rd down package that he said he started doing in his days back at Utah State. On 4th down, he dials up some pressure. A throw to the end zone through the hands of Mims and incomplete. They looked for their top target and he could not reel it in.
That was a pretty good throw by Charlie Brewer. He put it in a spot where Mims could come down with it in the front corner of the end zone. You have, when you're down the way Baylor's down 31-7 in the 4th quarter, you need to find ways to make plays, especially when they mean touchdowns.
Texas takes over after a missed opportunity that was oh so close to a touchdown.
You can't ask any more from Charlie Brewer on 4th down. He put it right in the hands of Denzel Mims. He just dropped the football. At 6'3", you got to go up and make that play, make it 31-14, and now you feel like you've got a ball game in the 4th quarter.
You expect to see a heavy dose of running the football here with Texas in control under 10 minutes in the 4th quarter. And a nice workload today for Tennille Carter. 15 carries, 69 yards. Dropping the arm angle for a dart to the sideline, Dorian Leonard.
And those are plays that are just an extension of the running game. That's that quick screen, a little sidearm pitch to the short side of the field, and just as good as a running play to get yourself in a 3rd and very manageable situation.
It's Young back there with Buechele. They want to throw, but it does go to Young, and the way was cleared nicely by his tight end, Cade Brewer, who opened some blocking room. And he says, I'm going to continue this play all the way out toward midfield, a gain of about 20. And we go to the studio for Chris Cotter.
All right, moments ago, this was a 30-10 game. Oklahoma State on top of West Virginia. First, Osman Kamara blocks a punt they covered for a touchdown. Then on the very next possession, Rudolph with the pick 6 here. Kenny Robinson takes it to the house. It's a 6-point game after 3 on ABC.
Back to the air here. It's Humphrey who makes the catch and picks up 5 or 6. Well, somewhere it's a great day for the West Virginia defense. Tony Gibson and company.
Special teams get a block in the end zone and back in the football game.
Well, the college football playoff top 25 rankings release coming up this Tuesday, week 1 for the rankings release, 7 Eastern. Keeper through the middle. John, you see those claps that come pre-snap for Texas. When we talked to Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator this week, he said, yeah, they all mean something.
Yeah, I noticed those too, he said.
It's a bit of a state secret there as far as what they all mean, though.
I'm not quite sure. I know the panic one is when you look at the down clock and it's at 3 or 2, you start clapping with authority. Snap the football.
Young heading upfield with the catch to the 40-yard line. Just a bit shy of the sticks.
They've had If they've had problems on any particular down, it's been 4th down.
Just looking to salt this one away.
Take this play clock all the way down and potentially call a timeout.
Play clock is inside of 5 seconds here. And it is indeed a Texas timeout. Certainly doesn't look like a trap game this week for Texas, with TCU on the horizon, up 31-7 over Baylor. Some folks headed for the exits here across the Brazos River. My cousin John Congemi with you from McLean Stadium in Waco, and it has been all Texas right from the jump today. Started with a pick 6, and the lead has grown from there. 31-7 now as they face a 4th and 1 in Baylor territory. And with one of the best punters in the country, elect to put him to work here, and it's another one that he lands inside the 10-yard line. Don't forget, later on today, more great action in the Big 12. Number 4 undefeated TCU and number 25 Iowa State. Clash of the top 2 defenses in the Big 12. That's 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC or ESPN2. Make sure to check your local listings for the game in your area. You can also find it on the ESPN app.
Iowa State winners of 3 straight.
So 6:32 to go for Charlie Brewer and company.
False start. Offense. Number 72. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
It's on the right guard, Blake Blackmar.
And Mike, we'll get another one of those plays you mentioned a couple minutes ago behind the chains. This drive will be 1st and 15 from the 5-yard line.
It'll bring up the 16th play behind the chains this afternoon for Baylor. Dangerous play coming out of the end zone for Brewer, who's just got to use his legs to escape. John Bonney came flying in there over the block to get close to the quarterback.
And that's one thing that the Texas defense has been able to do, is apply pressure in the backfield, force negative plays, and really be stingy against the run. The first week, not so good, but in the next 6 weeks, they've really turned it around on defense, and today's numbers an example of that.
Throw parallel to the goal line. A juke and a couple defenders miss as Hasty cuts it upfield.
It just looks like Texas from week 2 on has played with a lot more confidence. They've been fast getting to the football with defense, turnovers. They've created sacks and tackles for loss. They've done a really good job rallying to the football.
And they've got to have come into this game with so much confidence after what they did a week ago against the number 1 offense in the country against Mason Rudolph and Oklahoma State. Room to run and room for a 1st down. A slide across the 30 for Brewer. His older brother Michael started out at Texas Tech and finished things out at Virginia Tech.
16 yards on the scramble, gets him out of the shadow of their goalpost and gets the freshman quarterback some more experience in this 4th quarter.
From the 28, Orlando dials up more pressure, and it gets there before the ball can get out of Brewer's hand. Jeffrey McCulloch.
There's that pressure we were talking about, Mike, from the edge of the Texas defense. They do it with safeties, they do it with linebackers, coming from all angles, and the 3 guys up front hold their own, and they allow some pressure off the edge.
Under pressure again. Tip ball caught by Hasty. And a flag as he goes down to the 32.
Pass completed to Michael Hasty. Penalty marker down.
Legal block in the back. Offense, number 16. The penalty is declined. Third down.
John, the conversation has started in some circles, and I think fairly so, after you start to see what kind of production Todd Orlando's defense has put together, that here's a guy who may not be all too long for the Texas staff, and for good reasons, because he might be a guy who gets viewed as a head coach down the road.
Well, he's got great experience on the defensive side. This is his third year with Tom Herman. Another big pressure, another big sack, that time by Jefferson, another linebacker, and there's Todd on the sidelines. And it's been masterful what he's done after that opening week loss against Maryland. He's really turned it around in terms of sacks and tackles for loss, and relying on guys like Hill and Elliott and Jefferson and Ford to be the playmakers up front. That's what's really turned it around. The scheme and the players coming together and creating those negative plays.
That was the 9th tackle for a loss. It makes it so that Connor Martin has to punt out of his own end zone. Great starting field position for the Longhorns, right near midfield. They've got 3:28 to wind off the clock. That stands between them and win number 4. Texas on its way to a road win. There is the thought this might be the old trap game for Texas, with TCU on the horizon next Saturday. That'll be a game on ESPN in Fort Worth. Here against a so far winless Baylor team that is on the road to 0-8. Texas has played well right from the opening gun. Rushing the ball today 31 times, 124 yards. So under their season average of 151 a game. But another big chunk on first down here as they go down to the 32-yard line. Daniel Young. Let's take a look back with our Buick Drive recap. Comes on the ground.
Well, he's done a nice job establishing the line of scrimmage, and yards after first contact for Carter has been the key, especially in the second half. He's had more room to run. He's been bouncing off Baylor defenders and finding the end zone, more importantly, for 6 points. And it's been a good job by the offensive line, a line that's been banged up for most of the year. You get Cuny in at center for Shackelford today, and he held his own in the middle of that Longhorn offensive line.
Young stiff arms one defender, but can't turn down 2. The clock keeps moving, most importantly for Texas. So for the Longhorns, they've got TCU. That's going to be a tough one. And they will take on Kansas, go on the road to West Virginia, and Texas Tech. So 2 very high-scoring teams to close out the season. Good tests for the Longhorn defense.
And 2 tough tests on the road, at TCU and at West Virginia. Not easy, not an easy place to play in Morgantown late in the year.
The flag as the run goes off to the left side. Young escapes everybody and ends up in the end zone, but a flag is back the 31-yard line.
Offside defense. The penalty is declined. Result of the play. Touchdown.
And how about the 2 freshman running backs for the Longhorns? Carter and now Daniel Young. Both guys with terrific speed once they get in the open field, and good between the tackles as well. This starts right up the middle, and then he bounces off a would-be tackler right at the line of scrimmage. It looked like Roy had him, but Young showed some strength to the outside, and it pushes the Texas lead to 38-7.
And they've sustained the majority of the rushing offense today. 22 carries between the 2 freshmen, and Chris Warren just has 2 for the junior. Now, coming up tonight on SportsCenter, 1:45 Eastern time. So either stay up or set your alarm.
I hope so.
One of the two. After USC Arizona State on ESPN, Kirk Herbstreit gives us a look at who his top 4 should be on Tuesday, plus the teams with the easiest path to the college football playoff. And Mark Teixeira and David Ross will have a breakdown of Game 4 of the World Series. SportsCenter with Linda Cohn and Neil Everett, also streaming on the ESPN app. It's good if you're in Pacific time, 10:45.
I can make that.
Yeah.
And well, you know what? The flight gets in tonight at Miami probably around midnight.
Well, that's
so
right before last call on the East Coast at 1:45.
That's right.
Of course, depending on your municipality, certain larger cities, your mileage may vary with last call.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Those are the boldest guys here, the guys with
It's
no
chilly.
shirt, because they've been behind the goalposts all day. And that's been an area where it's been shady most of the day, and it has not been particularly warm. Got a flag coming at the end of this return here with 1:50 to go.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, correction, team, number 35. 15 yards added to the end of the run. First down.
Is that the area you were talking about, Mike?
Those are the culprits.
Looks like they're having fun and they're enjoying a pretty easy win by the Longhorns of Texas. They did a great job establishing their will on defense with that defensive score right out of the gate, and their offense really got on track behind Buechele at quarterback today.
And the quest becomes, as you look at the remaining schedule for Texas, coming into this game, they knew that they needed to get a win in 3 out of their last 5 games to become bowl eligible. So they're 4-4 after today. They've got to find 2 wins between TCU, Kansas, West Virginia, and Texas Tech. On the flip side, the question becomes for Baylor, where does, if it does come,
number one,
the first win? And all you have to do is look ahead to next week when you have Baylor taking on Kansas, the 2 bottom teams in the Big 12. It's a nice throw out toward midfield. Put on the money for Jason Clements, the tight end. Part of the plan this week offensively was to try and get the tight ends a little bit more involved.
I think it was tough to get any type of rhythm the way that those quarterbacks were going in and out for the majority of the football game. And I would expect, with the injury to Zach Smith in his shoulder, his throwing arm, that Charlie Brewer may get most of the reps at practice and start next week.
Brewer with the keep and a fastball. Thrown a little bit behind, and it's dropped by Clements. Week 8 Monday Night Football on ESPN. A nice AFC West rivalry matchup at Arrowhead. Broncos and Chiefs, who sit 5-2 in first place. Monday Night Countdown gets things rolling, 6 Eastern. The game also on ESPN2 in Spanish. Got the pride of Waco High School, a Texas high school football Hall of Famer, and Derek Johnson suiting up there more than a decade into the league with Kansas City.
How about Jamal Charles coming back to Kansas City? That should be nice.
What kind of reception do you think he'll get considering he stayed in the division?
I think you may get a mixed review there. Probably a clap in the beginning and then nothing but boos after that.
Brewer up top, And way too high. Now down to 27 seconds.
Came back with the exact same play that he missed on second down.
So there's going to need to be some offensive recalibration going into next week for Baylor.
Well, what you'd like to see is if you're going to go with your freshman quarterback, let him take all the first team reps all week and let him play for 4 quarters.
It's Trevor White. Hit hard in the lower legs as he goes out of bounds. So another strong effort this week from the Texas defense after last week holding the #1 offense in FBS to 13 points when they came in averaging 51 and no touchdown passes. Here they hold Baylor to just 7. And now there will be questions, of course, as well of health on the other side when Sam Ehlinger is able to return, cleared out of that concussion protocol. Longhorns certainly hope it's soon, along with their center, Zach Shackelford.
Well, you hope that Ehlinger is able to come back and he's going to be out of concussion protocol, but the way Shane Buechele threw the football today, and more importantly, he's able to run it. You know, that ankle looked good. He's looked great on that 28-yard touchdown run.
You're right.
So
not good, but great.
He looked great on that run. So for a guy that, you know, has that tag where he's not real mobile, he's more of a pocket guy, he's accurate, he relies on his accuracy. He moved this offense just beautifully today, and I would expect him to get the majority of the playing time, if not all the playing time, next week.
Victory formation to wrap things up. Texas 38, Baylor 7. The Longhorns go to 4-4. Baylor drops to 0-8. Defense got it going. A nice day for Holton Hill and company. And Shane Buechele directing the offense brings the Longhorns to a road win.
Fun to watch today. Texas on defense. They were physical. They caused turnovers. They were able to get a lot of plays with that defensive unit, and the offense cashed in when they needed to a big win.
Our production team today led by Eric Postman, spotter Tim Swartz, statistician Joe Sullivan. On behalf of my partner John Kajemi and our crew here in Waco, I'm Mike Cousins saying thanks for watching the Longhorns winners over Baylor.